If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in Antelope right now, there's something important you need to know. And it's that homes have been selling a little bit slower than they were last month, but it's still ahead of the greater Sacramento market. So what do the latest numbers actually tell us about the Antelope market, and what does it mean for you if you're buying or selling here? So stay with me because I'm breaking down the numbers for last month and, more importantly, telling you what I think you should do with these numbers. Antelope is showing some interesting changes from June. We're seeing more time on market, but we're also seeing a pretty significant increase in sales. And there's one thing that buyers and sellers should pay attention to when comparing the Antelope market to the greater Sacramento area. Let's get into it. Starting with inventory. We have about 45 single-family homes currently available for sale. That's a relatively small number when compared to the increased inventory we're seeing throughout the greater region. And last month, 34 homes sold in Antelope. That's a 36% increase from June. So we actually saw quite a few more homes sold than the month before, but there's some important context. So while the month-to-month shift may seem significant, and kind of is, it's right in line with what we've been seeing seasonally. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest shifts we've been seeing lately. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest changes we're seeing. The average days on market in Antelope are currently about 26 days, and that's a pretty significant increase from June when the average we were seeing was around 14 days. So some homes are taking almost twice as long to sell as they were just a couple months ago. Now, that might sound alarming if you're a seller, but here's where I think the Antelope numbers are actually pretty interesting. The greater Sacramento region is seeing an average days on market of 40 days. So even though Antelope has slowed down compared to earlier this summer, homes in Antelope are still selling faster than the regional average. And that's an important distinction because the market is shifting, but Antelope homes are still moving. So what are homes actually selling for? The current average sales price in Antelope is about $512,000. And just like I shared in the regional market update, the homes that are actually selling are selling for about 98% of their original list price. So buyers are negotiating and homes aren't necessarily selling right after they hit the market. But sellers who position and price their homes correctly from the beginning are still getting very close to their original asking price. And that's something I think is really important to understand. This isn't a market where homes aren't selling, it's just a market where buyers are being more selective. So if you're thinking about selling your home in Antelope, this is where strategy becomes really important. Very similar to what I talked about for the broader Sacramento market, this is not the time to start high and see how it goes. Why? Because buyers have choices and they're using them. When buyers are looking at homes, they're likely comparing multiple properties that they're interested in. They're looking at condition, price, location, and they're definitely checking how long the home's been sitting on the market. If you start too high, you could potentially miss that really important window when the most buyers are giving your listing the most attention. Instead, you want to be strategic from the beginning. Price where the market is, or more importantly, where the market is heading. And in a market where the average days on market have gone from 14 to 26 in just 1 month, starting from the right price in the beginning really matters. Now, if you're a buyer looking in Antelope, there are some opportunities here. You aren't necessarily competing against multiple offers on every single home. You may have more time to think about your purchase, and there may be opportunities to negotiate, especially for those homes that have been on the market longer. But don't assume that every home is going to be a deal. If you're looking for a very specific home with the right yard, the right updates, maybe even a specific school district, then there's likely to be other buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for that exact same home. And when it finally comes to market, you could find yourself in a multiple offer situation. So if I had to sum up the market in one sentence, it would be Antelope is slowing down, but it's moving faster than the greater area.